Welcome to Monk's Temple. Tonight, we're not going anywhere. We're not searching for anything. We're simply coming home to what you've always been but perhaps have forgotten beneath the noise of becoming. Find your comfortable position, let your body settle, and let's begin this journey of remembering together. Before we start, I'd like to share something personal. When I was a child, maybe 7 or 8, I had a peculiar experience. I was lying in the grass looking up at clouds, and suddenly I had this thought: who is looking? It wasn't a philosophical question, it was a genuine, innocent wondering. I moved my hand in front of my face. Who is seeing this? I couldn't find an answer, but in that not finding, I fell into a state of pure awareness that felt more like myself than my name, my body, or my story. That simple wondering was my first unconscious glimpse of what we're exploring tonight. The original face that looks out from behind your eyes. We live in a world that teaches us to look outside for answers, for validation, for completion. We're told we need to achieve, acquire, transform, that happiness lies in some future moment when we finally become someone else. But what if peace isn't something you find at the end of a road? What if it's the very ground you're walking on? What if you're already home, but you've been too busy reading the map to notice you've arrived? Let me share a story with you. In the Atacama desert of Chile, the driest place on Earth, astronomers from around the world gather to study the stars. The air is so clear, the sky so dark, that you can see the Milky Way with impossible clarity. A young astrophysicist from Germany, Klaus, arrived there obsessed with finding distant galaxies, with proving theories, with making his name. He worked 18-hour days, his eyes always on screens, on data, on mathematical models. One night, there was a power outage across the entire observatory complex. All the computers went dark. The giant telescope halted. Frustrated, Klaus stepped outside. With no artificial light for hundreds of miles, the night sky revealed itself in its full majesty. He looked up and felt something he hadn't felt since childhood: awe. Pure, wordless awe. As he gazed, a realization dawned. He had been studying the universe as an object separate from himself, but in this moment, he felt included in it. The stars weren't out there, they were appearing in the same consciousness that was looking at them. The seer and the seen were not separate. He was the universe looking at itself. When power returned, he went back to his work, but everything had changed. He was no longer a separate scientist studying a separate universe. He was awareness, exploring its own infinite expressions. His research became more creative, more intuitive. He made several breakthrough discoveries, not by grinding harder, but by seeing differently. He had remembered that his original face wasn't the astrophysicist with theories, it was the awareness in which both the scientist and the stars appeared. If this idea of discovering the seer behind all you're seeing resonates with you, I invite you to join our community here at Monk's Temple. Subscribing is like leaving a gentle marker in the sand of your attention, a reminder to return to this space of remembrance. It helps us continue to create these journeys into the timeless aspects of who you are. Now, let's breathe together, and let that story settle. What Klaus touched in that desert night is what we're exploring tonight. Different traditions point to it with different words: the self, consciousness, awareness, the original face. But the word is just a finger pointing at the moon. We're interested in the moon itself, the direct experience of being aware. Modern neuroscience is beginning to map this territory. Dr. Judson Brewer's research on the default mode network in the brain shows that when we're lost in self-referential thinking, worrying about the past, planning the future, telling ourselves stories about who we are, this network is highly active. During moments of pure presence, when we're simply aware without commentary, activity in this network decreases. What increases is a more distributed, holistic awareness. This isn't mystical, it's a biological shift that reduces suffering and increases well-being. You can literally train your brain to rest as the awareness rather than getting caught in the content of thought. But you don't need a brain scan to know this. Right now, as you listen, can you notice the difference between the words you're hearing and the awareness that's hearing them? The words come and go. The hearing remains. That hearing presence is what you are. It's like the screen in a movie theater. The movie can be dramatic, joyful, scary, but the screen remains unchanged, simply present. Let's travel to a different landscape now. In the ancient redwood forests of California, there's a park ranger named Maria who has walked the same trails for 40 years. She knows every tree, every turn in the path. Tourists often ask her, "Don't you get bored seeing the same things every day?" She smiles and says, "I'm not seeing things. The forest is seeing itself through me. Some days it wants to see through curious eyes, some days through quiet eyes. I'm just the seeing." She has dissolved the separation between observer and observed. Her original face is the seeing itself, not a separate someone who sees. This is our exploration tonight, to discover that you are not the content of your experience, you are the aware space in which all experience unfolds. We'll travel through stories from around the world, through metaphors and gentle inquiries, always circling back to this simple, profound truth: what you are seeking is what is doing the seeking. If you watch a river, you'll notice something fascinating. The water is never the same. Moment to moment, new water flows past. Yet we call it the same river, the Mississippi, the Ganges, the Nile. What makes it the same river if the substance is always changing? It's the pattern, the flow, the continuity of the riverbed. Your life is like that river. Your thoughts, feelings, sensations, they're like the water, always moving, never the same twice. But what is the riverbed? What is the pattern that holds this ever-changing flow? That's what we're exploring tonight, the unchanging awareness that witnesses all change. Let me share a story from a place where change is the only constant. In Iceland, on the edges of the Vatnajökull glacier, there's a geologist named Ellen who studies how landscapes transform. She measures the retreat of ice by millimeters, tracks how new moss colonizes volcanic rock, documents the birth of islands from undersea eruptions. One summer, she was monitoring a particular glacial lagoon where icebergs cave off and float toward the sea. She took a photograph every day from the same spot at the same time. At the end of the season, she made a time-lapse video. The ice changed dramatically, massive chunks breaking off, melting, new ice forming. The water levels rose and fell. But one thing remained perfectly still in every frame: the tripod. The point from which everything was observed. She showed this video at a conference. "We spend our lives watching the ice," she said. "We mourn the melting, celebrate the new formations, fear the floods. But we forget the tripod. The tripod doesn't move. It doesn't get wet when it rains or cold when the wind blows. It simply provides the stable point from which change can be seen. She paused. Our consciousness is that tripod. Everything in our experience, our thoughts, our emotions, our circumstances, is like that changing ice. But the awareness that knows these changes, that's the tripod. Unmoving. Unchanged. Always here. This simple metaphor changed how she approached her work and her life. She still cared deeply about the changing climate, but she no longer felt personally devastated by every new report. She was the tripod, the stable witnessing presence, and from that stability, her actions became more effective, less reactive. This understanding has parallels in physics. The theory of relativity shows us that while events in spacetime are relative to the observer's frame of reference, the speed of light is constant, an unchanging reference point in a changing universe. Your awareness is like that constant. All experiences are relative, coming and going, but the light of consciousness itself never varies in its essential nature. We often miss this because we're identified with the ice, not the tripod. We think, I am angry, when actually anger is a passing weather system in the sky of awareness. We think, I am failing, when actually failure is an event appearing in the consciousness that knows events. I remember a difficult period in my own life when everything seemed to be changing at once, a move to a new city, the end of a relationship, a career shift. I felt like I was being pulled apart. One evening, overwhelmed, I went to a planetarium show. As I watched stars being born and dying in accelerated time, galaxies colliding and reforming, something shifted in me. My personal changes felt microscopic against this cosmic scale. But more importantly, I noticed the one watching the show, the awareness taking in these grand transformations. That awareness wasn't changing. It was the same awareness that had watched clouds as a child, that had fallen in love, that was now watching simulated supernovas. I was that awareness, not the particular life circumstances that were currently turbulent. From that realization, I could meet my changes with more grace, like watching interesting weather rather than being the storm itself. Let's bring this to a more intimate setting. In a hospice in Cape Town, a counselor named Tabo works with people facing the ultimate change, the end of life. He noticed that those who suffered most were completely identified with their deteriorating bodies, with their ending stories. Those who found peace had made a subtle but profound shift. They spoke of my body rather than me. They could witness the pain, the weakness, the memory loss from a place that wasn't itself sick or dying. One patient, a former schoolteacher named Grace, told him, "It's like I've been a wave my whole life, thinking I was separate from the ocean. Now, as the wave is settling back down, I can feel the ocean beneath me. The wave is getting smaller, but the ocean isn't going anywhere." She had disidentified from the temporary form, the wave, and identified with the eternal substance, the ocean of consciousness. Her physical pain didn't disappear, but her relationship to it transformed. She wasn't a dying woman, she was awareness, experiencing the dissolution of a particular form. Tabo began to incorporate this insight into his work, helping patients find the ocean within themselves, the awareness that doesn't get sick, doesn't age, doesn't die. This isn't about denying the reality of change or the pain of loss. It's about discovering the dimension of yourself that isn't subject to change. When you find that, you can navigate change without being destroyed by it. Consider your own life right now. What's changing? Maybe your body is aging. Your children are growing. Your work is evolving. Your relationships are shifting. Feel those changes. Now feel back to what's aware of these changes. That awareness, is it aging? Is it growing? Is it evolving? Or is it simply present, knowing the changes without being changed by them? A tech entrepreneur in Seoul, Min Jun, built his identity on innovation, on being ahead of the curve, on constant disruption. When a younger competitor overtook his company with a new technology, he felt obsolete overnight. His identity, the innovator, crashed. He fell into depression, feeling he had no value if he wasn't leading change. A mentor took him to a traditional Korean pottery village. They watched an elderly master at his wheel. The master had been using the same techniques for 60 years. He's not innovating, Min Jun said dismissively. Exactly, the mentor replied. He's not trying to be new. He's being present. The clay changes shape under his hands, but his presence doesn't change. That's his mastery, not in the forms he creates, but in the unchanging attention he brings to the changing clay. Min Jun began to see that his worth wasn't in being ahead of change, but in the quality of presence he brought to whatever was happening. He started a new company, not with frantic innovation, but with deep attention to real human needs. He became more successful than before, not by chasing change, but by being the stable presence in the midst of it. Your original face is that stable presence. Not static or stagnant, but fundamentally unchanging in its capacity to be aware. Everything else, your thoughts, your roles, your circumstances, flows through this awareness like water through a riverbed. The riverbed doesn't try to hold on to the water, it simply provides the channel for the water's journey. So tonight, as you rest, feel for that riverbed within you. The solid, silent presence beneath the flow of these words, beneath the sensations in your body. That is your anchor in the stream of change. That is what you truly are. There's a phenomenon in the Arctic called a frost flower, ice crystals that form in such perfect, intricate patterns that they look like delicate glass blossoms. They're breathtaking, but they last only until the sun touches them or the wind stirs. They have no core, no substance beyond the temporary arrangement of water molecules. Our identities are like those frost flowers, beautiful, intricate patterns that form in the cold of separation, but with no lasting substance. When the warm breath of awareness touches them, they melt back into what they always were, water. The original face is the water, not the temporary flower. Let me share a story from a place where identity is particularly complex. In Beirut, Lebanon, a city layered with history, conflict, and rebirth, there's a psychologist named Layla who works with children from all of the city's many communities. She noticed that even very young children carried heavy labels: Christian, Muslim, Sunni, Shia, Palestinian, Armenian. These labels came with stories, with expectations, with sometimes unconscious prejudices. She developed a simple exercise. She would show them two mirrors facing each other, creating an infinite reflection. Where does the reflection begin? She would ask. The children would point to one mirror or the other. Then she would remove one mirror. The infinite reflection vanished. The reflection needed both mirrors, she would say. Your identity is like that reflection. It needs an other to define itself against. Without the other mirror, what's left? She would then have them look into a simple pond in the garden. See your face in the water? That's also a reflection. But if you touch it, the child would touch the water, and the reflection would dissolve into ripples. The water is still there, she'd say. The reflection was just a pattern on the surface. You are the water, not the reflection. One 10-year-old boy, who had lost family in the conflicts and carried both grief and hatred, did this exercise. When he touched the water and saw his angry face dissolve, he began to cry. I don't want to be the anger, he said. Layla gently replied, You're not. You're the water that can hold any reflection, anger, sadness, joy. The water doesn't become the reflection. This didn't erase his grief, but it gave him a place to stand that wasn't defined by it. He began to draw pictures of water, oceans, rivers, rain, and his nightmares decreased. Modern social psychology confirms this insight. The concept of social identity theory shows how our sense of self is often defined in contrast to others. I am this because I am not that. This is useful for navigating social worlds, but problematic when we mistake these relative identities for our absolute reality. The original face is prior to all these mirrors. It's the capacity for reflection itself, not any particular reflection. We don't just do this with group identities. We do it with personal ones too. I am successful. I am a failure. I am a parent. I am lonely. Each is a reflection that needs its opposite to exist. Success implies failure. Parent implies child. Lonely implies connection. These are pairs of mirrors creating infinite corridors of thought. I saw this clearly when I volunteered at a retirement home. One woman, Helen, had been a celebrated concert pianist. Now her hands were crippled with arthritis. She introduced herself to me as a former pianist. The sadness in her voice was palpable. Her identity mirror had shattered, and she didn't know who she was without it. One day, I brought in a simple singing bowl. I invited her to strike it and listen. As the pure tone filled the room, her eyes closed. She listened until the sound faded into silence. That was beautiful, she whispered. I didn't make it, I said. The bowl made it. You just listened. A light came into her eyes. The next week, she didn't introduce herself as a former pianist. She said, I'm Helen. I love listening to music. She had shifted from being the mirror, the performer, to being the listener, the awareness that enjoys sound. Her world expanded rather than contracted with age. This brings us to a beautiful scientific metaphor. In quantum physics, there's the concept of decoherence, how quantum possibilities collapse into definite states through interaction with an environment. Our identities are like those collapsed states, definite, seemingly solid. But beneath them is the quantum field of pure potential, the original face that can become anything but isn't anything in particular. Meditation practices that cultivate beginner's mind are essentially allowing decoherence to soften, returning to the field of possibilities before identities solidify. Let's travel to a very different environment, the trading floors of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Here, identities are built on numbers, on wins and losses. A trader named Marcus was known as the Wolf for his aggressive, successful tactics. His identity was his track record, his reputation. Then came a market crash that wiped out years of gains in hours. The wolf was gone. He sat in his empty apartment, staring at the city lights, feeling like a ghost. Who was he without the winds? He remembered something his grandfather, a fisherman on Lake Michigan, had told him: the lake doesn't care if your net is full or empty. The lake is just the lake. On impulse, Marcus drove north to the lake. He sat on the same pier his grandfather had fished from. He watched the water, hour after hour. He wasn't a successful trader or a failed one. He was just a man watching water. In that simplicity, he felt a solidity he'd never felt on the trading floor. He was the lake, not the contents of the net. When he returned to Chicago, he didn't try to rebuild the wolf. He started a small, mindful investment firm with a different philosophy. Be the lake, not the fisherman. His success returned, but it didn't define him. He knew he was the awareness in which success and failure both appear and disappear. Your original face is that lake. Still, deep, capable of reflecting sky or storm, but unchanged in its essential nature. All the identities you've carried, the student, the professional, the partner, the parent, the achiever, the struggler, are like weather on the lake's surface. Some weather is pleasant, some stormy. The lake experiences it all but remains the lake. So tonight, can you feel the lake within you? Not the surface ripples of thought or emotion, but the deep, still water beneath. That's your true nature. It doesn't need to be anything other than what it is: present, aware, complete. In the great cathedrals of Europe, there's an architectural secret that most visitors miss. The beauty isn't just in the stone, the stained glass, or the sculptures. It's in the space. The vast emptiness that allows sound to reverberate, light to filter, and the eye to travel upward toward the heavens. Without that space, it would just be a pile of stones. Your consciousness is like that cathedral. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, these are the architectural elements. But the space that holds them, that allows them to exist at all, that's what you truly are. Let me share a story from a place where space is understood differently. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal elders teach about dreamtime, not as a time that has passed, but as a timeless dimension that underlies and interpenetrates all of reality. A young anthropologist, Claire, was recording these teachings. One elder, Uncle Jack, asked her, "What holds up your university building?" She replied, "The foundation, the steel beams, the walls." He shook his head. "No. The space between the beams holds up your building. Without the space, the beams would be a solid block, no room to move, to breathe, to live. Your consciousness is like that. You think your thoughts are the building. But the space between your thoughts, that's what holds everything up." Claire had been struggling with anxiety, her mind a crowded room of worries. Uncle Jack's words stopped her. She began to practice noticing not her thoughts, but the gaps between them. At first, the gaps felt fleeting, insignificant. But as she paid attention to the spaces rather than the content, something shifted. The crowded room began to feel more like a cathedral, still containing everything, but now with spaciousness, with resonance. Her anxiety didn't disappear, but it no longer filled all available space. She had discovered that her original face was the cathedral-like space of awareness, not the particular thoughts furnishing it. This insight aligns with what cognitive scientists call cognitive spaciousness. When we're identified with our thoughts, our mental space feels cramped, cluttered. Mindfulness practices increase what's called working memory capacity, essentially, the mental space available. But beyond that psychological capacity is the metaphysical reality. Consciousness itself is the ultimate space, prior to any content. We often feel overwhelmed because we're trying to rearrange the furniture in a room we've forgotten is vast. We think the problem is the particular thoughts or feelings, so we try to fix them, remove them, or replace them. But the real shift comes when we remember the room itself, the spacious awareness that can hold any experience without being threatened by it. I experienced this during a silent retreat in the New Mexico desert. On the third day, sitting for hours in the dry heat, my mind became a torrent of discomfort. I'm too hot. This is pointless. I should be doing something useful. The thoughts felt solid, oppressive. Then, during a walking meditation, I looked up at the immense desert sky. It was utterly empty, yet completely full, holding the sun, the vast blueness, a single hawk circling. The sky didn't resist the sun's heat or crave clouds. It simply was space. In that moment, I felt my mind as that sky. The thoughts were just weather in the vast atmosphere of awareness. They lost their solidity, their urgency. I was the sky, not the weather. The rest of the retreat was transformative not because my thoughts changed, but because my relationship to the space holding them changed. Let's bring this to a modern, urban context. In Tokyo, where space is at a premium and life moves at lightning speed, there's a designer named Kenji who specializes in ma, the Japanese concept of negative space, the intentional use of emptiness. He designs tiny apartments that feel expansive by creating carefully calibrated empty spaces. A blank wall, an unadorned corner, a gap between furniture. He says, Westerners think design is about what you put in. In Japan, true design is about what you leave out. The emptiness isn't absence, it's presence. It's what allows everything else to be seen, to breathe. A stressed salaryman, drowning in work and family obligations, hired Kenji to redesign his cramped apartment. When the work was done, the man walked in and burst into tears. "It feels like I can breathe again," he said. It wasn't that Kenji had added more room, he had subtracted clutter to reveal the space that was always there. The man realized his mind was the same, cluttered with obligations, worries, plans. He began to practice mental ma, consciously creating gaps in his schedule, moments of doing nothing, spaces between activities where he just breathed and noticed the space of awareness itself. His productivity didn't drop. It increased, because he was no longer working from a cluttered, cramped mind, but from a clear, spacious one. Your original face is that, ma, the negative space that holds all the forms of your life. Not empty in a barren sense, but full in a potential sense, like the canvas before the paint, the page before the words, the silence before the music. Right now, feel the space in the room around you. Now feel the space within your body. The emptiness in your lungs as you inhale, the spaces between organs, the vast network of emptiness at the cellular level. Now feel the space of your mind, not the thoughts, but the awareness that knows thoughts. Is there a boundary between these spaces? Or is there just space, aware of itself, with apparent forms dancing within it. A neurologist in Boston, Dr. Patel, made a fascinating observation in his patients with spatial neglect. A condition where damage to one brain hemisphere causes patients to literally not perceive one side of space. They'll only eat food from one side of a plate, draw only half a clock. Yet, when guided through mindfulness practices, some patients began to report a curious experience. They could feel the missing space not as an absence, but as a presence, a kind of aware emptiness. One patient said, "It's like I've spent my life looking at objects, and now I'm discovering the room they're in. The room was here all along." Dr. Patel began researching this spatial awareness of awareness, and found it had therapeutic benefits beyond the neurological condition. Patients who connected with this fundamental spaciousness experienced less anxiety, more peace, regardless of their symptoms. You don't need a neurological condition to discover this. You simply need to shift attention from objects to space, from thoughts to the awareness that holds them. Your mind might be full of thoughts right now, that's fine. Don't try to empty it. Instead, notice the space between and around the thoughts. That space is what you are. It's never crowded. It's never stressed. It's never incomplete. It is, quite simply, the ground of being. So tonight, as you rest, be that space. Let everything, sounds, sensations, thoughts, be like furniture in the vast cathedral of your awareness. The furniture can be arranged in any way. The cathedral remains majestic, silent, and utterly at peace. A river doesn't know it's a river. The water simply flows, following gravity, moving toward the sea. It doesn't think, "I am the Mississippi," or "I should be flowing faster." It has no story about itself. Your awareness is like that river, pure flow, pure knowing, without a story. The mind comes along and builds banks, names the river, measures its speed, compares it to other rivers. But the water itself remains unchanged by these descriptions. Your original face is the water, not the banks, not the name, not the story about how the river should be. In the Amazon basin, there are tribes who navigate not by maps or compasses, but by reading the water itself. A young anthropologist, Mateo, was traveling with a guide named Kawi. They paddled for days through seemingly identical waterways. Mateo was completely lost. "How do you know where we are?" he asked. Kawi dipped his hand in the water. "The river knows," he said. "I don't know where I am. The river knows where it is going. My job is to feel the river's knowing in my hands, in the boat, in my body. I become the river's knowing." He wasn't speaking poetically. He had dissolved the separation between navigator and river. His consciousness had become one with the water's flow, with its intelligence. He wasn't Mateo trying to find his way. He was the river finding its way to the sea, and Mateo's human form was along for the ride. This points to a profound truth: awareness isn't static. It's dynamic, intelligent flow. We freeze it into a thing called me, with a history and a future, but its true nature is movement, is knowing in action. When you're fully present, perhaps playing music, engaging in sport, or absorbed in conversation, you might glimpse this. The separate you disappears, and there's just the flowing intelligence of the activity itself. That's the river without banks. Neuroscientist Walter Freeman's research on perception revealed something remarkable. The brain doesn't process information like a computer. It creates meaning through dynamic, flowing patterns of neural activity. Consciousness, he suggested, is more like a dance than a stored program, a continuous, flowing creation. Your essential nature is that dance, not the dancer you think you are. We suffer when we build banks too close to the river, when we create rigid identities, fixed beliefs, tight stories about who we are and how life should be. Then when the river naturally wants to flow, life wants to change, to expand, it crashes against these banks, causing turbulence, pain. I saw this clearly with a friend who was a brilliant academic. Her identity was the scholar. She had built precise, high banks. Publish in top journals, secure tenure, be recognized as an expert. When a family illness forced her to take a leave of absence, her river crashed against those banks. She felt she was failing, losing herself. During her time away, caring for her parent in a small coastal town, she began taking walks on the beach. She watched the tide, how it flowed in and out without concern for what it left behind or what it covered. One day, standing in the surf, she had a visceral sense of being that tidal flow, not a person watching the ocean, but the ocean's movement itself. Her academic mind, her worries, her identity, they felt like distant flotsam on a vast, moving body. She returned to her work eventually, but the banks had softened. She was still an excellent scholar, but she was no longer exclusively the scholar. She was the intelligent flow that could express as scholarship, as caregiving, as wonder, as rest. Her work became more creative, more impactful, because it came from the river, not from the rigid riverbanks. Let's bring this to a domain where flow is everything, jazz. In New Orleans, there's a trumpet player named Lionel who can play for hours, improvising, never repeating the same phrase twice. Someone once asked him, "How do you know what note to play next?" He laughed. "I don't know. The music knows. If I try to know, I get stuck. I just get out of the way and let the music play the trumpet." He described a state where Lionel disappears, and there's just the river of sound flowing through the instrument. That's the original face in action, not a person creating music, but music creating itself through a human form. Your life is that improvisation. You think you're planning it, controlling it, but really, it's flowing through you. The mind's attempts to control are like trying to steer a river with your hands. You create splashing and effort, but the river's course is determined by deeper forces, the lay of the land, gravity, the whole watershed of your life's conditions. A CEO in Amsterdam, faced with an unpredictable market, was trying desperately to control every variable. She was exhausted. Her coach, a former sailor, took her out on the IJsselmeer. "You can't control the wind," he said. "But you can set your sail to use it. You can't control the current, but you can steer with it. Feel the boat. It's not fighting the water, it's having a conversation with it." He had her close her eyes and just feel the boat's movement, the lift and fall, the tilt, the resistance of the water. She felt the intelligence of the boat responding to the intelligence of the sea. She realized her company was like that boat. She didn't need to control the market, the sea, she needed to feel its movements and respond intelligently. She began to lead from this place of felt flow, of conversation rather than control. Her company became more agile, more innovative. Your original face is that conversational intelligence, the flow that knows how to respond to the flow of life. It's not a set of rules or plans. It's a dynamic, present moment knowing that arises when the separate controller gets out of the way. So how do you access this? You don't need to become a jazz musician or a sailor. Simply notice in any moment. Is there a sense of trying to control, to manage, to be a certain way? That's the bank. Soften around it. Feel the alive presence in your body. Feel the movement of your breath. That's the river. Rest as that movement. Let life flow through you, as you. You don't need to know where it's going. The river knows. Tonight, as you lie there, feel the current of your awareness. It's flowing, knowing, being. Thoughts may appear like leaves on the surface. Let them float by. You are the deep current, moving steadily, intelligently, toward the ocean of being that you already are. Imagine you're sitting by a window, looking out at a landscape. You might see trees, sky, maybe birds flying past. Now, where does the view end and the window begin? The glass is so clean, so transparent, that you look right through it. You forget it's even there. Your awareness is like that perfectly clean window. The world, your thoughts, sensations, the room around you, is the view. You've been so focused on the view that you've forgotten the window through which you see it all. The original face is that transparent, invisible medium of seeing itself. In the clear, thin air of the Himalayas, there's a monastery where monks practice a meditation on transparency. They don't focus on objects or emptiness, but on the quality of seeing. A Western photographer, Eliza, visited, hoping to capture the majestic peaks. She grew frustrated as clouds constantly obscured her shots. The abbot noticed her agitation. He pointed to a window in the meditation hall. "What do you see?" he asked. "Mountains," she said. "Clouds." "Do you see the window?" he asked. She looked. The glass was so clean it was invisible. "Exactly," he said. "The window doesn't care if you see mountains or clouds. It just allows seeing. Your camera," he gestured to her expensive equipment, "is like the mind. It tries to capture good views and reject bad ones. But the eye," he touched his own eyelid gently, "is like the window. It simply receives light. Can you be the eye, not the camera?" Eliza put her camera down. She sat by the window and just looked. At first, she still judged, now the clouds are parting, that would be a good shot. Then she remembered, be the eye, not the camera. She softened her gaze. She stopped trying to capture and started simply receiving light, color, shape. The distinction between seer and seen softened. She wasn't Eliza looking at mountains, she was awareness, and mountains were appearing in awareness. When she finally picked up her camera again, her photography had changed. She wasn't trying to take pictures of things, she was allowing images to emerge from the field of seeing. Her work became renowned for its breathtaking quality of presence. This points to a fundamental shift, from being a subject looking at objects, to being the space in which subject and object arise. In philosophy, This is the shift from Cartesian dualism, I think, therefore I am, as a separate entity, to non-dual awareness. There is thinking, and the awareness of thinking, but no separate thinker. Modern vision science reveals something astonishing. What we see is not the external world directly, but a construction of the brain. Light hits the retina, signals travel, and the brain creates a simulation that we experience as reality. The clean window of awareness is what experiences this simulation. It's prior to the simulation, untouched by its content. Whether the brain shows you a beautiful mountain or a troubling memory, the window of awareness remains clear, simply allowing the showing. We forget the window because we're fascinated by the view. When the view is pleasant, we want to keep it. When it's painful, we want to change it. Both are attempts to manage the view while ignoring the window. But the window doesn't need management. It's already perfect. I witnessed this with my own mother in her final days. She was in pain, the view was difficult. One afternoon, I was reading to her, and she interrupted. "You know," she said, her voice weak but clear, "it's like I'm watching a very intense, sad movie. But I'm not in the movie. I'm the one watching. And the one watching is okay." She had disentangled from the painful content, the movie, and rested as the awareness watching it, the viewer. Her suffering diminished dramatically, not because the pain disappeared, but because she was no longer identified with it. She was the window, and the pain was just weather passing by. Let's apply this to a universal human experience, anxiety about the future. The mind creates frightening views, images of failure, loss, catastrophe. We try to clean up these views by planning, worrying, seeking reassurance. But this is like trying to wipe images off a windowpane. The more you rub, the more smeared it gets. A financial analyst in Frankfurt, Annika, was trapped in this cycle. Her job was to predict market risks, and she had become expert at generating catastrophic views. It bled into her personal life, constant what-if scenarios. She was diagnosed with generalized anxiety. Her therapist gave her an unusual prescription. For 1 week, she was to spend 10 minutes each morning simply looking out her apartment window and naming what she saw, but with a twist. Instead of, "I see a tree," she was to say, "Awareness is aware of tree." Instead of, "I feel anxious," awareness is aware of the feeling called anxiety. This simple linguistic shift changed her relationship to experience. She wasn't Annika having anxiety, she was awareness, and anxiety was a temporary pattern appearing within it. The window, awareness, became more real to her than the views, anxious thoughts. Her anxiety didn't vanish, but it lost its power to define her. She was the clear space in which anxiety could come and go. Your original face is that clear space. Right now, whatever you're experiencing, the sound of this voice, the feeling of your body, the stream of thought, is the view. Can you notice the window through which all this is appearing? Don't look for it as an object. Feel it as the transparent knowing that's already here. It has no color, no shape, no problem. It just is. A glass artisan in Murano, Italy, who creates the clearest cristallo glass, was once asked her secret. "The secret," she said, "is not in adding something to make it clear. It's in removing everything that isn't clear, the bubbles, the impurities, the color. The clarity was always there, hidden under what doesn't belong. She then pointed to her own eyes. The mind is the same. You don't need to add clarity. You need to stop adding the impurities, the stories, the judgments, the identifications. Then what remains is the original clarity, which was never not here. Your practice, then, isn't about becoming clear. It's about noticing you already are clarity. The impurities are just temporary smudges on the window. They come, they go. The window itself remains spotless. So tonight, be that window. Let the views of thought and sensation come and go. Don't try to clean them or keep them. Just be the clear, transparent medium through which the entire world is appearing. Rest in that transparency. It is your true home, and it's always clean, always available, always seeing. When a temple bell is struck, the sound rings out, vibrates through the air, and slowly fades back into silence. The sound is temporary. The silence is eternal. The sound depends on the silence to be heard, but the silence does not depend on the sound to exist. Your thoughts and feelings are like the bell's sound, temporary vibrations. Your aware presence is the eternal silence that holds them. The original face is not the ringing, nor the bell, nor the striker. It is the vast, receptive silence that allows all sound to be, and then lets it go. In a mountain temple in Korea, there is a practice of bell meditation. Monks don't just ring the bell, they listen to the entire cycle of sound, from the first strike to the final return to silence. A neuroscientist, Dr. Park, visited to study the monks' brainwaves during this practice. He expected to see patterns associated with focused attention. Instead, he found something more interesting. In the moments after the sound had completely faded, when only silence remained, the monks' brains showed a unique state, extremely low-frequency waves associated with deep rest and expanded awareness. They weren't listening for something. They were resting as the listening silence itself. Dr. Park tried the practice himself. At first, he waited impatiently for the next ring. Then he began to notice the silence between rings. Not as an absence, but as a presence, a rich, full, alive presence. He described it later. It was as if my entire life I had been studying the waves on the ocean, and in that silence, I discovered the water itself. He realized that consciousness research had been focusing on the content of experience, the sound, while missing the context, the silence. His research shifted toward studying this background silence of awareness, which he termed primary consciousness. We are so attuned to the bells of our lives, the ringing of thoughts, the clanging of emotions, the chiming of sensations, that we forget the silence that holds them. We think the silence is just the gap between rings, the boring part waiting for something interesting to happen. But the silence is the fundamental reality. The bells are the temporary visitors. This has a parallel in physics. What we perceive as empty space is not empty at all. Quantum field theory describes it as a seething vacuum state, full of potential energy, the ground state from which all particles arise and to which they return. The silence of awareness is like that, not dead emptiness, but vibrant potentiality, the ground from which all experiences arise. I experienced this during a period of burnout. My mind was constant noise. Worries about work, replayed conversations, to-do lists. I couldn't find quiet even in sleep. Desperate, I went on a retreat where for one entire day, we observed noble silence, no talking, no reading, no writing, no eye contact. Just silence. By afternoon, my mental noise felt like a screaming child throwing a tantrum. But as I simply sat with it, not trying to make it stop, something shifted. The noise didn't quiet down, rather, I discovered a layer of silence beneath the noise. It was like discovering that a loud TV was in a vast, soundproofed hall. The hall, silence, was undisturbed by the TV's drama. I was the hall, not the TV show. My exhaustion began to lift, not because my life circumstances changed, but because I had reconnected with the silent ground of my being. Let's bring this to a place where silence is rare, the emergency room of a major hospital. Dr. Amina, an ER physician in Cairo, worked in constant chaos, sirens, shouts, beeping machines, crying. She thrived on the adrenaline but was heading for collapse. An older colleague noticed and said, "You're listening to all the bells. You must find the silence that holds the hospital." He taught her a micro-practice. Between patients, while washing her hands, she would count to 7, and for those 7 seconds, she would listen not to the sounds, but to the silence underneath them. At first, it seemed impossible. Then she began to notice it. A kind of listening presence that was always there, like the canvas behind a busy painting. Those 7-second returns to silence became her anchor. She became known for her remarkable calm in crisis. She wasn't ignoring the chaos, she was holding it from the silent center that couldn't be disturbed. Your mind might be ringing with thoughts right now. That's fine. Don't try to stop the bell from ringing. That's just more ringing. Instead, notice the silence that is already here, between the thoughts, around the thoughts, underneath the thoughts. That silence is what you are. Thoughts are like birds flying through the sky of silence. They don't affect the sky's nature. A famous composer, struggling with writer's block, visited that Korean temple. The bell master told him, "You are trying to compose the ringing. Compose the silence instead. The ringing will take care of itself." The composer sat for days, just listening to the silence after the bell. He began to hear music in the silence, not notes, but the potential for all notes. His block dissolved, and he wrote what became his masterpiece, a piece noted for its profound use of rests, of space, of silence that feels more present than sound. Your life is that composition. You've been focusing on the notes, the events, the achievements, the problems. But the music is in the relationship between the notes and the silence. The silence gives the notes meaning, shape, room to breathe. So how do you live from this silence? You don't need to go to a temple or an ER. Simply pause now. Listen. Behind whatever sounds you hear, the hum of appliances, distant traffic, your own breath, there is silence. Not as an absence of sound, but as the presence of awareness that hears sound. That presence is silent, still, and utterly peaceful. It is your core. When you're caught in mental noise, anxiety, planning, remembering, gently bring attention to the silence underneath. Feel it in your body as a deep, still pool beneath the surface ripples of thought. You are that pool. The ripples can be stormy or gentle, the pool's depth remains unaffected. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, let yourself be the silence that welcomes the end of the day's ringing. Let thoughts come and go like distant bells. You are not the bells. You are the vast, silent night that holds them all, that allows them to ring, and that remains when their sound has faded into peace. Imagine a lighthouse standing on a rugged coast. Storms rage, waves crash against the rocks, wind howls with enough force to tear trees from the ground. The lighthouse doesn't fight the storm. It doesn't become the storm. It stands firm, its light rotating steadily, piercing the darkness regardless of the chaos around it. Your aware presence is that lighthouse. The storms of life, emotional turmoil, external crises, mental turbulence, are the weather around you. The light is your innate awareness, shining continuously, untouched by whatever passes by. On the coast of Newfoundland, there's a lighthouse keeper named Finn who has weathered some of the most violent North Atlantic storms on record. When asked how he manages the isolation and danger, he gave an unexpected answer. "I don't manage it," he said. "Early on, I tried to. I'd board up windows, check instruments obsessively, fight the fear. It was exhausting. Then one November, during a storm that shook the stone foundation, I gave up. I sat in the lantern room and just watched. I wasn't Finn the keeper trying to survive a storm. I was the light, shining through the storm. The storm was happening around the light, but the light itself was undisturbed. Ever since, I don't weather storms. I shine through them." Finn had discovered that his true identity was the steadfast light of consciousness, not the temporary role of the keeper or the passing phenomenon of the storm. This points to a crucial distinction: we are not the content of our experience, the storm, nor the role we play, the keeper, but the luminous awareness, the light, that knows both. Psychological resilience isn't about building a stronger ego to withstand life's blows. It's about realizing you are not the ego at all, but the light in which the ego appears and disappears. Neuroscience offers a fascinating parallel. The brain's salience network identifies what's important and threatening in our environment, activating the stress response. The default mode network generates our self-referential stories about these threats. This is happening to me. Mindfulness practice strengthens the prefrontal cortex's ability to observe these networks without getting hijacked by them. In essence, you become the lighthouse observing the storm systems of your own brain, rather than being lost in them. We often believe that to find peace, we must calm the storm. We seek perfect circumstances, controlled environments, predictable lives. But the lighthouse doesn't wait for calm seas to shine. It shines regardless. Your peace doesn't depend on external or internal calm, it is the inherent nature of the light of awareness itself. The storm may obscure it temporarily, but it can never extinguish it. I saw this embodied in a friend who battled chronic illness. For years, she fought against her body's limitations, raging against the storm of pain and fatigue. She was exhausted not just by the illness, but by the war with it. Then, during a particularly difficult hospitalization, she had a dream. She was a lighthouse, and her illness was a dark, swirling fog. In the dream, she realized she didn't need to dispel the fog, she just needed to remember she was the light. The fog couldn't touch the light, it could only pass through it. She woke with a profound sense of peace. Her condition didn't magically improve, but her relationship to it transformed. She began to speak of shining through the pain rather than fighting the pain. Her energy shifted from resistance to presence, and in that space, genuine healing, of spirit, if not fully of body, became possible. Let's bring this to a domain where storms are constant, the stock exchange floor. A trader named Leo was known for his volatility, his mood swung with the markets. A big win made him euphoric, a loss made him despairing. He was a weather vane, not a lighthouse. After a catastrophic loss that nearly ended his career, a mentor took him to, of all places, an aviation museum. They stood before an old gyroscope. This, the mentor said, kept planes steady in turbulence. It doesn't fight the wind. It maintains its own orientation based on a deeper principle, the conservation of angular momentum. Your awareness, he tapped Leo's forehead gently, is your inner gyroscope. It doesn't need to fight market turbulence. It just needs to remember its true orientation, which is presence itself, not profit or loss. Leo began a simple practice. Before checking markets each morning, he would sit for 5 minutes and feel his awareness as a steady gyroscope in the center of his being. He visualized it spinning, stable, unmoved by whatever thoughts or anticipations arose. Throughout the day, when markets moved violently, he would touch that inner gyroscope. He stopped being the weather, he became the instrument that could navigate any weather. His trading became consistently profitable, not because he predicted markets better, but because he was no longer destabilized by them. Your original face is that inner gyroscope, the steady light of awareness that maintains its orientation regardless of external or internal conditions. It doesn't need to resist or grasp anything. It simply is, and from that isness, intelligent action naturally flows. So, how do you access the lighthouse when you're feeling like a leaf in the storm? You don't need to build it. You just need to remember it's already there. The storm of thought might be saying, "This is terrible. I can't handle this." That's the wind howling. Can you feel the one who hears that thought? That one is the lighthouse. The thought is content, the hearing is the light. Right now, feel the stability of your own presence. Not the thoughts about stability, but the actual, felt sense of being here. That's the lighthouse. Storms of thought or emotion may be present. Let them be. You are the space that holds them, the light that knows them, the steady presence that is not altered by their passing intensity. A child afraid of thunderstorms was taught by her grandmother, "Don't watch the lightning. Watch the space between the lightning flashes. That space is always there, never struck, never afraid." The child learned to rest in the dark, silent gaps between the flashes. Her fear dissolved. She discovered the eternal space that the storm could not touch. You are that space. The lightning flashes of thought, emotion, and sensation cannot touch what you truly are. They illuminate it momentarily, but they cannot change its fundamental nature. Tonight, as you rest, be the lighthouse. Let the storms of the day's memories, tomorrow's worries, or any present discomfort rage if they must. You are not in the storm. You are the light shining through it, unwavering, eternal, and already at peace. In every garden, there are two presences. The plants, which grow, bloom, wither, and change with the seasons, and the gardener, who tends, observes, and works with these natural cycles. The plants are the content, the beautiful roses, the stubborn weeds, the falling leaves. The gardener is the context, the aware, caring presence that knows the garden but is not defined by any single plant within it. Your mind is the garden, with its flowering thoughts and weedy worries. Your original face is the gardener. The aware presence that can tend to the garden without becoming the garden. In the English countryside, there's a garden at Sissinghurst Castle, famous for its rooms of color and texture. The head gardener, an older woman named Alara, was known for her preternatural calm. Journalists would ask, "How do you stay so peaceful with so much to manage? Weeds, weather, pests, demanding visitors." She would smile and say, "I am not managing a garden. The garden is managing itself through me. My job is to be the quiet place where the garden can see itself. If I start thinking I'm the one making the roses grow, I get in the way." She described her state while working as a kind of open attention, aware of everything but attached to nothing. A wilted leaf was simply information, not a failure. A blooming flower was simply beauty, not an achievement. She was the space in which the garden lived, moved, and had its being. This is a perfect metaphor for consciousness. When you're identified with thoughts, the plants, you're at the mercy of their growth cycles. A good thought blooms, and you feel proud. A bad thought, a weed, appears, and you feel you failed. But when you rest as the gardener, the aware presence that knows thoughts, you can tend to them with wisdom and detachment. You can prune what's no longer helpful, water what needs attention, and simply appreciate the ever-changing display without needing it to be different. This aligns with the psychological concept of self as context, from acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. Instead of being fused with your thoughts and feelings, self as content, you learn to see yourself as the context, the arena or space in which these experiences occur. This shift is profoundly liberating. You are not your anxiety, you are the aware space in which anxiety is happening. I experienced this shift during a difficult period of parenting. My young child was going through intense emotions, and I found myself getting swept into them. If she was angry, I became tense. If she was sad, I became heavy. I was like a plant reacting to the weather of her garden. A child therapist observed me once and said gently, "You're trying to be the perfect flower. Be the garden bed instead. The bed holds the flower, gives it nutrients, but doesn't try to be the flower." That night, as my daughter raged about something small, I experimented. Instead of trying to fix her emotion or match it, I simply felt my feet on the floor, my breath, and the awareness that was witnessing this scene. I became the garden bed, solid, supportive, present. Her storm passed more quickly because it wasn't meeting another storm, it was meeting steady ground. I learned that my original role wasn't to control the garden of her emotions, but to be the nurturing ground from which all emotions could safely arise and pass. Let's bring this to a high-pressure environment, a Michelin-starred restaurant kitchen. The head chef, Marco, was famous for his temper. He would scream at cooks for imperfect knife cuts, throw plates if a sauce was wrong. His kitchen was a garden of fear, not creativity. After a heart scare, he took a sabbatical and worked, incognito, in a community garden. The head gardener there, an elderly volunteer, never raised her voice. When a plant was diseased, she calmly removed it. When pests came, she introduced beneficial insects. She worked in silence, with deep attention. Marco asked her secret. "No secret," she said. "The garden knows what to do. I'm just here to listen and help a little." Marco had an epiphany. He had been trying to force his kitchen to be perfect, like a tyrannical gardener. He returned to his restaurant and transformed his leadership. He began to see his staff not as problems to be controlled, but as unique plants in a creative ecosystem. He provided the nutrients, clear instruction, quality ingredients, respect, and the space, calm presence, for them to flourish. The kitchen's creativity and morale soared, and it earned a 3rd star. Your life is your garden. Some parts may feel overgrown with worry, some barren with lack of inspiration, some blooming with joy. The gardener in you, your aware presence, doesn't judge these states. It simply tends with loving attention. The gardener doesn't say, "I am the weeds." The gardener says, "Ah, weeds are here. I'll tend to this area." So, how do you inhabit the gardener? Start by noticing the tendency to say, "I am." Followed by a temporary state, "I am stressed, I am tired, I am excited." These are identifications with plants. Instead, try saying, "There is stress here, there is tiredness here, there is excitement here." This simple linguistic shift points you back to the gardener, the one who notices what's growing in the garden. Right now, notice your inner garden. What's flowering? What's wilting? What's just resting as bare soil? Now, feel back to the one who's noticing all this. That's the gardener. That's you. The gardener isn't stressed by the weeds or overly attached to the flowers. The gardener is simply present, tending to what is, with care and intelligence. A Zen story tells of a student who asked the master, "How do I achieve enlightenment?" The master replied, "You are like a man standing in a beautiful garden, asking, "Where is the garden?" The student was looking for something he already was and already stood within. You are both the garden and the gardener. The dance between them is life itself. But the deeper truth is that the gardener is primary. The garden appears within the gardener's awareness. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, be the gardener putting down tools for the day. Let the garden of your mind do what it will: dream, process, rest. You are not the growing or the decaying. You are the silent, loving presence that holds the entire cycle, that watches over the night, and that will be there at dawn, ready to tend to whatever new growth the day brings. A mountain does not care about the weather. Storms may rage on its slopes, blizzards may blanket its peak in snow, brilliant sunshine may warm its stones, or fog may shroud it in mystery. The mountain experiences all of it, yet remains fundamentally unchanged. It does not become the storm, nor does it cling to the sunshine. It is simply the mountain. Your aware presence is that mountain. The ever-changing conditions of your life, your shifting emotions, your fluctuating thoughts, your varying circumstances, are the weather. The original face is the mountain itself, silent, majestic, and untouched by the temporary climates that pass across its surface. In the Andes of Peru, there's a Quechua guide named Puma who leads trekkers to ancient ruins. He speaks of the apis, the mountain spirits, not as gods living on the mountains, but as the mountain's own consciousness. Most people look at a mountain and see rock and snow, he says. But if you sit with it, you start to feel its being. It's not affected by your small worries. It has seen civilizations rise and fall. It holds storms and sunshine equally. To sit with a mountain is to remember your own nature. He teaches a practice: sit facing a mountain, close your eyes, and feel your own inner landscape. Feel the parts that feel solid, permanent, unchanging. That, he says, is your inner mountain. The rest is just weather in your mind. This practice reveals a profound truth: we have an inner topography as real as any physical mountain. There's a core of stillness, of being, that is not subject to the mind's weather patterns. Psychological studies on resilience show that people who have a strong sense of core self, not a story-based ego, but a felt sense of fundamental okayness, weather life's challenges with greater equanimity. This core self is the mountain. It's not a belief, it's a direct experience of the ground of your being. We often live as if we're the weather. I am sad, we say, identifying completely with the passing cloud. Or, I am ecstatic, clinging to the temporary sunshine. But the mountain knows, weather changes. Always. To find lasting peace, we must discover the mountain within that knows all weather but is none of it. I learned this from my grandfather, a farmer in the Midwest. He had survived droughts, floods, the Great Depression, and the loss of his first wife. Yet he possessed a deep, unshakable calm. One summer, a hailstorm destroyed his entire wheat crop just before harvest. Neighbors were distraught, cursing the sky. My grandfather walked out into the battered field, picked up a piece of ice, melted it in his hand, and said quietly, "Well, that's that. Later, I asked him how he stayed so calm. He looked at me with those weathered eyes and said, "Son, I'm not the crop. I'm the land. The land stays. The crop comes and goes. Some years are bounty, some years are loss. The land doesn't take it personally." He was pointing to the mountain within himself. The land that could hold any weather, any yield, without losing its essential nature. Let's apply this to a modern source of constant weather, digital life. A social media manager named Chloe lived in the storm of online trends, viral posts, and constant notifications. Her mood was the weather, sunny when a post performed well, stormy when it flopped, anxious when algorithms changed. She was completely identified with the digital climate. Burnout led her to a digital detox retreat in a remote cabin in the Scottish Highlands. For the first 3 days, she was agitated, constantly reaching for a phantom phone. Then, on a hike, she got caught in a sudden, drenching rainstorm. With no shelter, she just stopped walking. She let the rain soak her. She looked at the ancient hills around her, standing firm in the downpour. In that moment, she felt a solidity within herself she had forgotten. She wasn't Chloe the social media manager. She was presence, being rained upon, like the hills. When she returned to work, she didn't quit. But she carried that inner mountain with her. Metrics became weather, interesting data passing across the screen of her awareness, but not defining her worth or her day. Her creativity and effectiveness improved because she was no longer emotionally tossed by every digital breeze. Your original face is that mountain. It doesn't mean being stoic or unfeeling. The mountain feels the rain, the snow, the sun. It experiences it all. But it doesn't become confused with these experiences. Your capacity to feel is part of the mountain's richness. But you are not the feelings, you are that which feels. A beautiful study in contemplative neuroscience examined the brains of long-term meditators when exposed to painful stimuli. They felt the pain just as acutely as non-meditators. The sensory processing was the same. But the activity in the brain's narrative and emotional centers was significantly lower. They were experiencing the sensation, the weather, without adding the story of my pain or the emotional drama of suffering. They were being the mountain feeling the storm, not becoming the storm itself. So, how do you find the mountain when you're lost in a blizzard of thought or a hurricane of emotion? You don't have to climb somewhere. You simply have to stop identifying with the weather. Feel your body. Feel its solidity, its weight, its presence. That's the foothills of the mountain. Now feel the awareness that knows the body. That's the peak. It's silent, spacious, and utterly unmoved by the mental chatter blowing through it. Right now, notice any emotional or mental weather. Perhaps there's a light breeze of restlessness, or maybe a cloud of sleepiness. Just note it, this weather is here. Now, feel back to what is aware of this weather. Feel the solid ground of being beneath it. That's your mountain. It is already here, already still, already complete. The weather will keep changing, that's its nature. Your mountain nature is to provide a stable, loving ground for all of it to play out. You don't need to stop the rain or hold on to the sun. You just need to remember what you are. Tonight, as you lie down to rest, be the mountain settling into the night. Let the winds of thought blow. Let the rain of memory fall. Let the stars of inspiration appear. The mountain holds it all, experiences it all, yet remains, in its deepest heart, silent, vast, and eternally at peace with whatever comes. No wave ever exists apart from the ocean. It may rise high, crest with foam, and crash dramatically upon the shore, but it is never anything other than water temporarily taking the form of a wave. When it crashes, it doesn't die, it simply returns to its source. Your thoughts, emotions, and sensations are like waves. They rise, they play out their pattern, and they subside back into the vast ocean of awareness from which they came. Your original face is the ocean, deep, boundless, and the substance of every wave. The wave may think it is separate, with its own birth and death, but the ocean knows there is only water. In the Maldives, there's a marine biologist, Dr. Asha, who studies coral reefs. She spends hours underwater, observing the endless dance of the sea. She told a story about freediving without tanks, descending deep where the surface light fades. At a certain depth, she said, you stop being a diver in the ocean. You become the ocean diving. The boundary of your skin dissolves. You feel the currents as your own blood, the fish as thoughts moving through your vast body. There's no you and ocean. There's just this, liquid consciousness. She described this not as a loss of self, but as a homecoming to the true, fluid self that was there all along, obscured by the solid-seeming story of being a separate person. This experience of non-separation is what mystics across traditions point to. In Hindu philosophy, it's the realization, tat tvam asi, thou art that. You are the ocean, not the temporary wave. Neuroscience offers a hint of this in the study of flow states or peak experiences, where brain activity shows decreased self-referential processing and increased holistic, present-moment awareness. The separate wave, the ego, subsides, and the ocean, consciousness, knows itself directly. We suffer because we believe we are separate waves, fighting other waves, fearing our own dissolution. I am this anger. I am this success. I am this pain. Each is a temporary waveform that we mistake for our entire being. But the ocean of awareness holds all possible waves without being threatened by any of them. I witnessed this profound shift in a dear friend who was diagnosed with a terminal illness. At first, he was the wave of fear, of rage, of why me? He was a storm-tossed, isolated crest fighting the inevitable crash. Then, during a quiet afternoon, he was listening to a recording of ocean waves. Something in the endless rhythm broke his identification. He later told me, I realized I wasn't the sick person. That was just a story, a scary wave. I was the vastness listening to the waves, the space in which the whole drama was happening. The sick me felt like a character in a movie, but I was the screen. His remaining time was transformed. He still had bad days, pain, and sorrow, but they were waves on an ocean that was fundamentally peaceful, loving, and complete. His relationships deepened, his presence became a gift to all around him. He hadn't cured his body, but he had realized he was not the body. He was the ocean in which the body wave arose. Let's bring this understanding to a domain obsessed with separate waves: competitive sports. A tennis champion, after years of being the winning wave, suffered a crushing defeat in a major final. The press called it the Great Collapse. She fell into depression, her identity shattered. Her coach, instead of focusing on technique, took her to the sea every day for a month. They didn't talk tennis. They just watched the waves. He'd point, "See that big one? It thinks it's important. Now it's gone. See that small one? Barely noticeable. Gone too. The sea doesn't care." Slowly, she began to feel herself as the sea, not the wave. She returned to tennis with a new freedom. She wasn't playing to be a champion wave, she was the ocean, expressing itself through the game of tennis. Wins and losses became like high and low tides, natural movements within her vastness. She went on to have her most successful season, playing with a joy and creativity that had been stifled when she was just a wave afraid of crashing. Your life is full of waves right now. Some may be gentle ripples of contentment. Some may be towering walls of anxiety about the future. Some may be the crashing breakers of old grief. Can you feel the ocean beneath them all? You don't need to calm the waves to know the ocean. In fact, the ocean is most evident in the waves' very movement. The waves are the ocean in motion. A simple practice: when a strong emotion arises, instead of saying, "I am sad," try saying, "The ocean is waving as sadness." This points you back to the source. The feeling is a temporary form, you are the formless capacity that allows all forms. Right now, feel the ocean of your awareness. It's not somewhere else. It's what's reading these words, hearing sounds, feeling sensations. It has no edge, no limit. Thoughts and feelings are like waves on its surface, coming from it, made of it, and returning to it. You are not on the surface. You are the depth, the totality. An ancient Sufi poem says, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." The drop is your personal story. The ocean is your true nature. The drop, fearing it will vanish, doesn't realize it's already the whole sea. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, let yourself be the ocean. Let the waves of the day's events, of memory, of planning, rise and fall within your boundless depth. You are not endangered by any storm. You are the profound peace that exists below all surface movement, the silent, saline depth that has been here since the beginning, and will be here, unchanged, when every single wave has settled into stillness. If you watch the sky, you'll notice clouds forming, drifting, changing shape, and eventually dissolving. The sky doesn't create the clouds, nor does it destroy them. It doesn't hold on to the beautiful cumulus shapes or push away the dark storm clouds. The sky simply is, the vast, open space that allows clouds to appear and disappear. Your mind is like that sky. Thoughts and emotions are the clouds. Your original face is the sky itself. Spacious, clear, and fundamentally unaffected by whatever passes through. In the vast Mongolian steppe, where the horizon is endless and the sky dominates the world, nomadic herders have a saying, "A troubled mind is like a sky full of clouds." Don't fight the clouds. Remember the sky. A young herder named Batu was struggling with guilt over a past mistake. His mind was dark with self-recrimination, like a sky heavy with impending storm. His grandfather took him riding for 3 days without speaking. On the morning of the 4th day, as the sun rose over the plain, the old man finally spoke. "Look at the sky, Batu. Is there any cloud that has ever stained it? Does the sky remember yesterday's storm? The sky is always clean. Your nature is like that." These thoughts, he gestured to Batu's head, they are clouds. They can be thick and dark, but they cannot change the sky. You are the sky. Batu sat with that for a long time. He realized he had been staring at the cloud of his guilt, believing it was the whole of reality. When he remembered he was the sky, the cloud began to lose its solidity. It was still there, but it was now seen in context, as a passing formation in the vastness of his being. The guilt didn't vanish instantly, but its power to define him did. Modern cognitive therapy has a similar technique called cognitive distancing, or decentering, where you learn to see thoughts as mental events rather than absolute truths. This creates psychological space, the sky, around difficult thoughts. But the deeper teaching points beyond psychology to metaphysics. You are not just creating space around thoughts, you are the space. The sky isn't a technique, it's your fundamental nature. We often believe we need to clear away all clouds to find peace. We meditate to have a clear mind. But the sky is already clear, even when filled with clouds. The clouds are just appearances in the sky. Your peace is the sky-like nature of awareness itself, not the absence of mental weather. I experienced this during a period of intense creative blockage. My mind was an overcast sky of self-doubt, you're not good enough. This has been done before. You have nothing to say. I tried to push these clouds away with positive affirmations, which was like trying to blow clouds out of the sky with my own breath, exhausting and futile. Then, during a walk, I simply looked up at the actual sky. It was partly cloudy. I watched a cloud slowly drift, change shape, and thin out until it was just a wisp. I didn't do anything. The sky didn't do anything. It just allowed. In that moment, I felt my mind as that sky. The thoughts of doubt were just clouds. I didn't need to fight them, I could allow them to drift on through. From that sky-like space, inspiration began to arise naturally, like a break of sunshine. Let's apply this to a modern cloud factory, the news cycle. A journalist named Elena was saturated with stories of conflict, crisis, and tragedy. Her mind became a stormy sky, heavy with the world's pain. She developed what's now called headline anxiety. A mentor, an old war correspondent retired to a vineyard, told her, "You've mistaken the weather for the climate. The daily news is weather, storms, heat waves, cold snaps. But your consciousness is the climate, the larger, stable system that holds all weather patterns. Don't get your identity from the daily forecast." He suggested she start her day not with news, but by looking at the actual sky for 5 minutes, feeling herself as the space that holds the blue, the clouds, the vastness. She did. Her work didn't become indifferent, it became more compassionate and wise because it came from the climate, clear awareness, rather than being a reaction to the weather, the news. Your original face is that climate, the stable, all-holding awareness. The weather of thought and emotion will always change. That's its job. Your job is to be the sky that allows all weather without becoming it. Right now, notice the mental weather. Is it calm? Stormy? Partly cloudy? Now, feel back to what is aware of this weather. Not a thought about it, but the aware presence itself. That's your sky. It's never disturbed, never improved, never diminished. It simply is. A beautiful teaching from the Dzogchen tradition says, "Thoughts are like clouds in the sky." The nature of the sky is to accommodate clouds, not to be cloudless. The nature of mind is to accommodate thoughts, not to be thoughtless. Liberation is not a blank mind. It's recognizing you are the sky, not the clouds. Tonight, as you rest, be the sky. Let the clouds of thought drift. Let the stars of insight appear. Let the darkness of sleep settle over everything. The sky holds it all, allows it all, and remains, in its essential nature, clear, open, and free. Hold a mirror up to the world, and it reflects whatever is before it, a face, a tree, a room. The reflection is perfect, detailed, but it has no substance of its own. It borrows all its reality from the objects it reflects and the light that illuminates them. Your mind is like that mirror. It reflects perceptions, thoughts, memories. But the reflection is not the mirror. The mirror itself is clear, empty, capable of reflecting anything without being changed by what it reflects. Your original face is the mirror, not the ever-changing show of reflections. In a temple in southern India, there is a hall of mirrors used for a unique meditation. Practitioners sit surrounded by mirrors, seeing infinite reflections of themselves stretching into eternity. The teacher's instruction is simple: find the one that is not a reflection. At first, students search for an original image, a source. Then, through patient looking, they realize, every single image is a reflection of a reflection. The search turns inward. The one who is looking is not in the mirrors. The looker is the capacity for reflection itself, the aware presence that holds the entire hall, the mirrors, and the endless images. One Western student described the breakthrough: "I stopped looking for myself in the reflections and became the room in which the mirrors hung. And the room was silent, still, and completely free of all those multiplied selves." This points to a profound truth. We spend our lives looking for ourselves in the reflections, in our achievements, our relationships, our roles, our memories. We think, that successful person is me, or that failure is me. But these are just reflections in the mirror of awareness. The mirror itself, pure, empty, luminous awareness, is what you truly are. It doesn't become successful or failed, it simply reflects those stories. Neuroscientist Carl Friston's free energy principle suggests the brain is a prediction machine, constantly generating models of the world and then updating them based on sensory input. In a sense, our experience is a reflection of the brain's best guess about reality. Consciousness is the mirror in which this reflection appears. You are not the reflection, the brain's model, you are the mirror, the awareness that knows the model. We suffer when we mistake the reflection for the mirror. When the reflection is pleasing, we try to cling to it. When it's painful, we try to wipe it away. But the mirror doesn't cling or reject. It simply reflects. When you know you are the mirror, you can appreciate the beautiful reflections and meet the difficult ones with equanimity, knowing they cannot stain your true nature. I saw this beautifully in a friend who was a model. Her entire identity and livelihood were built on a particular reflection, a young, symmetrical face and body. As she aged, she fell into despair. She was losing herself. During a trip to Venice, she visited the glassblowers of Murano. She watched an artisan create a mirror, pouring the liquid silver backing. He explained, the glass is always clear. The silver is just a coating that allows reflection. If the reflection is ugly, you don't blame the glass. You clean the object in front of it, or you change your vantage point. But the glass remains pure. She had a sudden insight. She was the clear glass. The youthful face was just a temporary reflection. Her true substance was the clear awareness that had witnessed childhood, youth, and would witness all the ages to come. She returned to her career with a new freedom, even transitioning into work behind the camera, with a deeper beauty that had nothing to do with a reflected image. Let's bring this to a world obsessed with reflections, social media. A teenager named Leo measured his worth by the reflections he received, likes, comments, shares. A bad photo or a mean comment felt like a crack in his very being. After a particularly brutal online incident, he deleted his apps. His uncle, a photographer, took him into a darkroom. He showed him how a photographic print develops in the tray. "See," his uncle said. "The image emerges from nothing. It's just chemicals on paper reacting to light. It seems so real, but it's just a pattern." Your sense of self online is like that, a developed image. But you, he tapped Leo's chest, are the light-sensitive paper before any image appears. You are the blankness that can receive any image without being any of them. Leo began to practice feeling like that blank paper, aware, sensitive, but not defined by any particular developed image. When he returned online, he engaged with humor and detachment. He was no longer the reflection. He was the one who could choose which reflections to engage with. Your original face is that blank, light-sensitive paper. Or better yet, it's the light itself that allows images to be seen. Right now, the reflection might show a person listening to a story. That's a temporary image. Feel back to the light of awareness that illuminates this entire experience. That light is you. It has no age, no problem, no story. It simply illuminates. A Zen koan asks, what did your face look like before your parents were born? It's not asking for a physical description. It's pointing to the mirror before any reflection appeared, the original face that is no face, the clear awareness that exists prior to any identity. So tonight, as you rest, be the mirror. Let the reflections of the day play across your surface, memories, conversations, hopes, regrets. Appreciate their vividness, their drama. But know they are just reflections. You are the clear, silent depth that holds them all, unchanged, unstained, and radiantly present. A fire transforms whatever it touches. Wood becomes heat, light, and ash. The fire doesn't become the wood, it uses the wood to reveal its own nature as energy and transformation. When the fuel is gone, the fire's potential remains, ready for new fuel. Your awareness is like that fire. Experiences, pleasant, unpleasant, mundane, are the fuel. Awareness doesn't become the experiences. It uses them to reveal its own nature as luminous, intelligent presence. The original face is the fire, not the consumed fuel, not the resulting ash. In the Black Forest of Germany, there are traditional charcoal burners who practice an ancient craft. They build enormous, covered mounds of wood and burn them for days with limited oxygen, creating pure charcoal. An environmental scientist, Lena, was studying their sustainable methods. She asked an old burner, Klaus, how he knew exactly when to seal the mound to create perfect charcoal and not just ash. He said, I don't watch the wood. I watch the fire. The fire has a voice, a song. When the song changes from consuming to perfect transformation, I act. He described his state of attention as being one with the fire's intelligence. I am not Klaus burning wood. I am the burning itself, knowing its own process. This is a powerful metaphor for consciousness. We think we are the fuel, our stories, our identities, our accumulated experiences. We fear being consumed, becoming ash. But we are the fire, the transformative awareness that uses all experience as fuel for awakening. The fire doesn't fear the consumption of fuel, that's its very nature. Modern trauma therapy incorporates a similar understanding. Modalities like somatic experiencing help individuals process traumatic memories not by reliving them as fuel, which can re-traumatize, but by connecting with the fire of present moment awareness, the body's innate capacity to complete thwarted defensive responses and return to regulation. The healing agent is not the story, the fuel, but the aware, self-regulating presence, the fire, that can metabolize the story. We often live as fuel, feeling burned by life, feeling reduced to ash by hardship. But what if you are the fire? The fire isn't harmed by burning, that's its expression. When you identify as the fire, all experience becomes grist for the mill of awakening. Difficult experiences become hot, transformative fuel. Joyful experiences become bright, illuminating flames. I learned this from a potter in North Carolina who fired her kiln with wood from her own land. She told me, every piece of wood has a different spirit. Pine burns fast and hot, oak burns slow and steady. A good firing needs both. My life is like that. Sorrow is the pine. Intense, quick to transform. Patience is the oak, slow, enduring. I don't judge the fuel. I tend the fire. She had faced great loss, the death of her son. She said the grief was like a sudden, hot flame that threatened to consume everything. But because she knew herself as the fire, not the fuel, she could let it burn without being destroyed. The grief transformed her art, making it more profound, more connected to the cycle of life and death. She wasn't a victim of fire. She was the sacred fire itself, using everything for creation. Let's apply this to a burnout culture. A software engineer in Bangalore, Arjun, felt like he was being consumed. Long hours, impossible deadlines, constant pressure, he was the fuel, and the job was the fire. He was turning to ash. He took a leave of absence and went trekking in the Himalayas. At a high-altitude camp, he spent nights by the small stove, feeding it dried dung to stay warm. He became fascinated by the process. How the seemingly worthless dung could become life-sustaining heat and light. One night, watching the blue flames, he realized, I've been identifying with the dung, feeling worthless and burned. But I am the heat. I am the light. My job, my stress, that's just the dung. It's not pleasant, but it can fuel my awareness if I remember what I am. He returned to his job not with resignation, but with a sense of sacred purpose. He was no longer a victim of the system. He was the conscious fire within it, using the pressure to burn away his own illusions and shine more clearly. Your original face is that fire. It is not the temporary forms it consumes. It is the intelligent, transformative energy of awareness itself. Right now, what fuel is being offered? Perhaps boredom, fatigue, interest, peace. Can you feel the fire of awareness that is experiencing these states? The fire doesn't prefer one fuel over another. It simply burns what is present, transforming it into the light of knowing. A mystical text from the Kabbalah speaks of Nur, the divine light that is hidden within all forms, waiting to be released. Your practice is not to gather better fuel, but to recognize yourself as Nur, the light that liberates essence from form, consciousness from content. So tonight, be the fire. Let the day's experiences, the conversations, the tasks, the moments of silence, be like wood added throughout the day. Some may have been damp and smoky, some dry and bright. It doesn't matter now. In the hearth of this present moment, let them all be consumed in the fire of aware presence. Feel the heat of aliveness in your body. See the light of consciousness illuminating your mind. You are not what burns. You are the burning. Rest as that sacred, transforming flame. In a Welsh mining village, there is a tradition of male voice choirs. The sound they create is not the sum of individual voices, but something entirely new, a rich, resonant field of harmony that seems to come from the earth itself. An old choirmaster, Gwilym, was asked how he achieves such unity. He said, "The secret is not in the singing, but in the listening." When each man stops trying to sing his part perfectly and instead listens to the space between the notes, to the overtones, to the silence that holds the sound, then the song begins to sing itself. The singer disappears, and there is only song. Your mind is like that choir. Thoughts, feelings, and sensations are the individual voices. Your aware presence is the resonant field in which they arise, the song itself. The original face is not any particular voice, thought, nor the effort to control them, the singer, but the harmonious whole, the song of being that is already singing through you. This understanding shifts the goal from having a quiet mind to recognizing the inherent harmony of consciousness itself, even when the individual voices seem discordant. A study on brain synchrony during group singing shows that heart rates and brain waves can entrain, creating a shared biological rhythm. On an individual level, when you stop identifying with specific thoughts, the separate voices, and rest as the aware field, the song, your entire psychobiology can come into a natural harmony. We often live as the anxious singer, worried about hitting the wrong note, comparing our voice to others, trying to stand out or blend in. We think, "I am this fear," or "I am this desire." But these are just solo parts in a much larger composition. When you realize you are the song, the pressure to perform dissolves. The harmony includes the dissonant notes, they become part of the music's depth and movement. I experienced this while learning to play the cello as an adult. I was terrible. Every scratch of the bow felt like a personal failure. My teacher, a serene woman from Poland, finally took the bow from my hand. "You are trying to play the cello," she said. "Let the cello play you. The music is already in the wood, in the strings, in the air of this room. Your job is to get out of the way and let it find its voice through your body." She had me close my eyes and just draw the bow across the open string, not to make a good sound, but to feel the vibration in my hands, my chest, my feet. In that moment, I wasn't a bad cellist, I was vibration, resonance, sound. And from that place, the music began to flow, not perfectly, but truly. I had touched the song behind the singer. Let's apply this to a cacophonous modern environment, an open-plan office. Maria, a project manager, was surrounded by constant noise. Phones, conversations, keyboards. She felt fragmented, unable to think. She bought noise-canceling headphones, but they made her feel isolated. Then she remembered something from a childhood music class: how to find the fundamental tone in a noisy room. She started to practice. Instead of resisting the office noise, she would listen for the underlying hum, the frequency of the lights, the distant ventilation, the collective murmur. She would tune her attention to that fundamental and let the other sounds become harmonies and rhythms around it. Her mind began to mirror this. She stopped trying to silence her scattered thoughts and instead found the fundamental tone of her awareness, the steady hum of presence. From that centered place, the office noise and her own thoughts became manageable, even interesting, part of a complex, living composition. Your original face is that fundamental tone. The steady note of being that underlies all the changing melodies of your life. It's not loud or flashy. It's the drone note that allows all other notes to have meaning. Right now, listen. Beneath any specific sounds, there is a fundamental silence, a hum of existence. Feel that in your body as a steady aliveness. That is your note. Thoughts and emotions are other notes, chords, and melodies playing around it. You are not any of those passing patterns. You are the fundamental tone that makes the music possible. In many indigenous traditions, the world itself is seen as a song constantly being sung into existence. Your life is your unique verse in that eternal song. The verse will end, but the song continues. You are not just the verse, you are the singing itself, the creative, intelligent energy that expresses as your life. So tonight, let yourself be sung. Let the day's events be verses that have now passed. Let the quiet of the night be the rest between verses. Don't try to sing yourself to sleep. Be the silence that receives the song, the space that holds the melody, the eternal listening that has been here since the first note and will be here after the last. An ancient oak tree does not mourn the loss of its leaves in autumn, nor does it anxiously await their return in spring. It stands rooted, experiencing the bare vulnerability of winter, the explosive blossom of spring, the full flourish of summer, and the release of autumn, all as natural expressions of its being. It does not confuse itself with any single season. Your life has its seasons too, periods of growth, fruition, loss, and rest. Your original face is the tree itself, the constant, rooted presence that experiences all seasons without being defined by any of them. In the ancient Białowieża forest on the border of Poland and Belarus, there stands an oak known as the King. It is over 600 years old. A forest ecologist, Kasia, has been studying it for decades. She measures its growth rings, documents its lichen, observes the life it supports. When asked what the tree has taught her, she doesn't speak of botany. She says, "It has taught me about time. When I sit with it, my personal timeline, my worries about yesterday, my plans for tomorrow, shrinks to nothing. I feel the tree's time, slow, patient, cyclical. I am not a human with a linear story anymore. I am life, witnessing the turning of seasons from a place that doesn't turn." She discovered that her essential consciousness was like the tree, aware, present, and hosting the passing seasons of thought and emotion without losing its rootedness in being. This mirrors findings in perceived time research. During stressful periods, time feels like it's speeding up. In states of deep presence, like flow or meditation, time seems to slow down or become irrelevant. When you identify as the tree, the timeless witness, rather than the leaves, the temporal experiences, you step out of psychological time and into the eternal now. We often live as the leaves, desperately clinging in autumn or anxiously budding in spring. We think, "This winter of my life will never end," or "I must hold on to this summer joy forever." But the tree knows, seasons change. The tree's strength is in its trunk and roots, the steadfast awareness that remains throughout the cycle. I learned this during a year that felt like an endless winter. A series of losses left me feeling barren, stripped. One gray afternoon, I walked through a botanical garden's dormant section. Everything looked dead. A gardener was patiently pruning. I said, "It's so depressing in winter." He looked at me kindly. Depressing? This is where the real work happens. The growth is hidden, underground. The tree isn't dead, it's concentrated. It's drawing its energy inward, to the roots. Without this season, the spring blossom would be weak. He pointed to a label on a dormant rose bush, "Pruning encourages new growth." In that moment, I felt my own winter not as a failure, but as a necessary season of my being. I was the rose bush, not the absent flowers. My roots, my core awareness, were still very much alive, gathering strength for a season I couldn't yet see. Let's apply this to the seasonality of a career. An architect named Leo had his summer, a period of acclaimed projects and bustling creativity. Then came a fall, styles changed, younger talent emerged, commissions slowed. He fought it, trying to force summer again, which only led to exhaustion and irrelevance. He retreated to a family cabin in the woods for a month. There, he simply watched the forest. He saw a maple tree drop every single one of its brilliant leaves. He remembered that the tree's value wasn't in its leaves, but in its sap, its wood, its structure, the essence that would produce new leaves in time. He realized his essential worth as an architect wasn't in his current popularity, the leaves, but in his foundational understanding of space, light, and form, the tree. He returned to his work with a quieter, deeper approach, focusing on essence rather than fashion. Slowly, a new spring emerged, different, more mature, and ultimately more satisfying. Your original face is that essential tree. Right now, what season does your life feel like? Are you in a busy summer of productivity? A fall of letting go? A winter of introspection? A spring of new beginnings? Notice the season, but feel the tree. Feel the solid trunk of your body, the rootedness of your breath, the branches of your awareness reaching into space. You are not the weather of the season. You are the living organism that experiences weather. A practice from nature-based therapy involves tree grounding. Stand like a tree, feel your feet as roots, your spine as a trunk, your arms as branches. Breathe, and imagine drawing stability from the earth and spaciousness from the sky. This isn't just imagination, it's a somatic reminder of your true, stable nature amidst life's seasons. So tonight, be the tree. Let the seasons of your day, the activity, the interactions, the thoughts, fall away like leaves. Settle into your roots. Feel the deep, silent stability of simply being. The seasons will turn in their own time. You are the timeless presence that grows through them all. Imagine a perfectly cut diamond. Light enters and reflects off its many internal facets, creating a dazzling display of brilliance and color. Each facet reflects light differently, yet all are part of the same single gem. If you look only at one facet, you might think it's a red flash, a blue sparkle, or a clear surface. But it is always the diamond. Your awareness is that jewel. Each thought, emotion, memory, and perception is a facet reflecting the light of consciousness in a unique way. The original face is the jewel itself, the whole, complete, radiant source of all the reflections, yet not limited to any single one. In the gem markets of Jaipur, India, there are masters who can look at a rough, uncut stone and see the perfect jewel within. They don't see the flaws, the dirt, the uneven surface. They see the latent brilliance. A young apprentice, Ravi, was discouraged. Every stone he touched seemed to reveal only imperfections. His master, an elderly man with milky eyes from a lifetime of close work, placed a rough, muddy-looking stone in Ravi's hand. "What do you see?" he asked. "A dirty rock," Ravi said. The master had him close his eyes. "Now feel it. Not with your skin. Feel its potential. Feel the light waiting inside it." Ravi tried. He felt nothing but cool stone. The master said, "You are looking with your mind, which sees separation, dirt here, rock there. Look with your awareness, which sees unity. The dirt, the rock, the light, all are one thing expressing differently. The jewel is not hidden under the dirt. It is expressing as the dirt and the rock, waiting for the cutter's awareness to reveal its fuller expression." When Ravi opened his eyes, he didn't see a dirty rock anymore. He saw a process, a becoming. He had shifted from seeing facets to seeing the jewel. This insight transformed his craft, and his life. He began to meet his own flawed thoughts and messy emotions not as problems to be eliminated, but as facets of his own consciousness waiting to be recognized in their true light. This perspective aligns with the psychological concept of parts work, or internal family systems, IFS, therapy, which views the mind as comprising various parts or subpersonalities. The inner critic, the wounded child, the achiever, all facets of a single, core self. Healing involves connecting with that core self, the jewel, which can hold and heal all the facets with compassion. The original face is that core self, luminous, compassionate, and already whole. We often get trapped looking at one facet, the facet of anxiety, the facet of pride, the facet of sadness, and believe that is the entirety of who we are. I am an anxious person. But that's like a diamond saying, I am the blue flash. It's a partial truth that obscures the whole. I witnessed this in a friend who had a sudden, unexpected success. The public facet of him was the successful artist, and he became completely identified with it. He lost touch with his other facets, the doubter, the son, the quiet nature lover. He became brittle, unhappy. During a trip to a geothermal area, he saw a geyser erupt, a single, spectacular column of water and steam. A park ranger noted, "It's impressive, but it's just one expression. The real action is the vast reservoir of heated water underground that feeds all the geysers, hot springs, and mud pots in this valley." My friend realized his success was like that geyser, a single spectacular facet. His true well-being depended on staying connected to the vast, warm reservoir of his being that fed all expressions of his life, not just the impressive ones. He began to nurture his quieter facets again, and his art became more authentic, more connected. Let's apply this to a world that often rewards only certain facets, the professional world. A woman named Sophia was a brilliant but ruthless lawyer. Her courtroom warrior facet was highly polished and successful, but it was consuming her. At home, she was impatient, disconnected. Her marriage suffered. A meditation teacher gave her a simple practice. Each evening, she was to hold a small, clear quartz crystal and imagine her consciousness as that crystal. She was to mentally rotate it, acknowledging different facets. This is the facet that wins cases. This is the facet that loves her husband. This is the facet that is afraid of failure. This is the facet that enjoys gardening. The practice wasn't about changing the facets, but about remembering they all belong to the same crystal. Slowly, she began to integrate. She didn't become less effective in court, she became more wise, because she was drawing from the whole crystal of her being, not just one sharp edge. Your original face is that whole crystal. Right now, which facet is catching the light? Perhaps it's the tired listener facet, or the curious explorer facet, or a worried facet planning tomorrow. Notice the facet, appreciate its unique reflection, but then feel back to the jewel that holds it. Feel the multifaceted wholeness of your being. You contain contradictions, complexities, changes, all are facets of the same radiant consciousness. A mystical text from the Sufi tradition says, "The heart is a polished mirror." It reflects the divine in 1,000 different colors, but the mirror itself is clear. Your practice is to polish the mirror, cultivate clear awareness, not to get attached to any particular color, facet, that appears. So tonight, be the jewel. Let the facets of the day's experiences sparkle and fade in the soft light of your attention. You are not any single glimmer. You are the source of the light and the ground of the gem, eternal, precious, and already perfect in your multifaceted completeness. In the Taoist tradition, there is a concept called pu, often translated as the uncarved block. It represents the original, natural state of wood before it is carved into useful or beautiful objects, a table, a statue, a bowl. In its uncarved state, it holds all possibilities, yet it is complete and perfect as it is. Your mind, before it is carved by concepts, labels, and stories, is like that block, pure potential, inherently whole. The original face is the uncarved block of awareness, prior to any shaping by thought. A master woodworker in the mountains of rural Japan, Hiroshi, is known for his ability to see the soul of the wood. Students would bring him beautiful, rare timber, asking what he would make from it. Often, he would simply examine it, feel its grain, and say, "It is perfect. I will make nothing." At first, they thought he was being cryptic or lazy. But he explained, "My greatest work is to recognize when the wood has already realized its purpose simply by being. When I carve, I am not creating something new. I am removing what hides the essence that was always there." But sometimes, the essence is most visible when left alone. He kept one such uncarved block in the center of his workshop. Visitors would ask its purpose. Its purpose, he would say, is to remind us of our own nature before we became someone useful, someone with a title, a story. Look at it. It is complete. This points to a radical acceptance of being. We spend our lives carving ourselves into shapes, the successful professional, the loving parent, the spiritual seeker. We think we must become something. But your original nature is already complete, like the uncarved block. Any carving, personal development, learning, growth, is not about creating a new you, but about removing what obscures the you that was already there, whole and perfect. Neuroplasticity research shows the brain is constantly being carved by experience. Neural pathways are strengthened or pruned. Mindfulness practices can be seen as a way to pause the carving, to return to the default mode of the brain, which is not empty but is a state of restful awareness, the uncarved ground of being. We suffer from what psychologist Albert Ellis called masturbation, the belief that we must be certain ways to be valuable. I must be productive. I must be liked. I must be spiritual. These are carvings. The uncarved block doesn't need to be anything. It simply is. When you touch that place within yourself, there's a profound relief. You don't have to achieve wholeness, you are wholeness, temporarily imagining itself as a work in progress. I experienced this during a period of intense self-improvement. I was meditating, exercising, studying, trying to carve myself into an awakened person. I was exhausted. During a silent retreat, the teacher gave a talk about the uncarved block. That afternoon, during walking meditation in a grove of aspen trees, I saw a fallen log, moss-covered, decomposing back into the forest floor. It wasn't trying to be a better log. It was just being what it was, would returning to earth. In that moment, I felt my own striving collapse. I wasn't a project. I was a being, already complete, even with all my flaws and unfinished edges. The relief was physical, like putting down a heavy weight I didn't know I was carrying. My practice transformed from becoming enlightened to resting as awareness. Ironically, from that rest, genuine growth happened naturally, without strain. Let's apply this to a culture obsessed with carving, the personal branding of the digital age. A freelance designer, Leo, felt constant pressure to carve himself into a perfect marketable brand, his website, his social media voice, his portfolio. He was losing touch with why he loved design in the first place. He took a week off to help an elderly neighbor, a retired carpenter, clean out a barn. In the barn, they found a massive, rough-hewn beam, original to the structure. The neighbor patted it lovingly. "See this? They didn't plane it smooth. They left it as it came from the tree. It's held up this roof for 150 years. Its strength is in its natural state, not in being perfectly shaped." Leo had a flash of insight. His strength as a creative person was in his natural, uncarved curiosity and love for form, not in a polished personal brand. He redesigned his entire approach around that raw, authentic core. His work became more distinctive and sought after because it was real, not carved to fit a trend. Your original face is that rough, strong beam. It doesn't need polishing to be valuable. Its value is in its essential substance, awareness itself. Right now, feel the uncarved block of your being. Beneath the thoughts about who you should be, beneath the roles you play, there is simply presence. It is not improved by a good day or diminished by a bad one. It is the ground. A simple practice is to sit and feel the body not as a shape with a purpose, but simply as a block of sensation, alive and present. Feel the mind not as a thinker with tasks, but as open awareness. This is touching poo. So tonight, be the uncarved block. Let go of all carving. All self-judgment, all planning, all trying to be a better version. Rest as the natural, unshaped presence that you are. In this deep acceptance, you may find the peace and wholeness you've been seeking through all your efforts. A bowl is useful not because of its clay walls, but because of the empty space inside it. The walls give form, but the emptiness holds the nourishment. A house is livable not because of its bricks and beams, but because of the rooms, the space within. Your being is like that vessel. The body and mind are the walls, the structure. But what you truly are is the space within, the aware, open capacity that holds all experience. The original face is not the vessel, but the space it contains. In the pottery villages of Morocco, there is a tradition of making tagines, the iconic cooking pots with conical lids. The potters say a prayer as they form the final cavity. A translator explained the prayer. Oh, emptiness, may you always be more real to the user than the clay. May they taste the stew, not the pot. This wisdom recognizes that the function, the essence, is in the void. A philosophy student from Paris, studying these traditions, was struck by this. She had been studying existentialism, filled with concepts about being and nothingness. Here, the potters lived a simple truth: the nothingness was the being. The space inside the pot was its true offering. She began to practice seeing her own mind as a tagine. Her thoughts, memories, and sense of self were the clay walls, useful, giving form. But her true self was the emptiness that held them. When anxious thoughts arose, instead of battling them, fighting the clay, she would focus on the space around and within the thoughts. She discovered a vast, calm emptiness that was always present. Her anxiety didn't disappear, but it now happened within her, not as her. She was the space for the anxiety, not the anxiety itself. This understanding is echoed in the Buddhist Heart Sutra: form is emptiness, emptiness is form. The form, the vessel, the body, the mind, and the emptiness, the aware space, are not two separate things. They are two aspects of one reality. You are the emptiness that takes the form of a person. We live identified with the vessel, our body, our personality, our history. We worry about the vessel cracking, aging, being imperfect. But the space within is never damaged. It cannot crack. It cannot be stained. It is ever present, ever clean, ever ready to hold whatever comes. I witnessed this in a friend who lost her home in a wildfire. All her physical possessions, the vessel of her life, were gone. She was devastated. But in the weeks that followed, staying with family, she said something surprising. It's strange. I feel more like myself than I have in years. All the stuff, the house, it was like thick walls. Now it's gone, and I feel spacious. I'm still here. The essential me wasn't in the house. She had inadvertently experienced the truth of being the space, not the vessel. Her grief was real, but it was happening within a consciousness that was larger than the loss. Let's apply this to something that feels very solid: chronic pain. A man named David had lived with back pain for a decade. His identity had become the person in pain. He was the damaged vessel. A pain specialist introduced him to a form of mindfulness that involved spatializing the pain. Instead of focusing on the sensation itself, the clay, he was to feel the space in his body around the sensation, and even the space of the room around his body. He was to identify with the space, not the sensation. David practiced diligently. One day, during a flare-up, he suddenly felt a shift. The pain is here, he said later, but I am not in the pain. I am the room in which the pain is happening. The pain is like a piece of furniture in a large room. It's obtrusive, but it doesn't fill the room. His suffering reduced dramatically. He hadn't cured the pain, but he had discovered he was the space that could contain it without being consumed by it. Your original face is that space, the open, aware capacity that contains your entire world. Right now, feel your body. Notice sensations, pressure, temperature, perhaps discomfort. Now, feel the space within your body that holds these sensations. Then, feel the space of the room around your body. Can you sense that these spaces are not truly separate? They are gradations of one open awareness. You are that. A beautiful instruction from the Dzogchen tradition is, rest as the sky-like nature of mind. Don't focus on the clouds, thoughts, be the sky, space. The sky doesn't do anything. It simply allows. So tonight, be the space within the vessel. Let the vessel of your body and mind rest. Your job is not to be a perfect vessel. Your nature is to be the boundless space that the vessel exists within. In that recognition, there is deep peace, for space cannot be threatened, harmed, or lost. It is, and always will be, here. On a remote stretch of the Norwegian coast, there is an automated lighthouse. No one has lived there for decades. Yet, every night, its light cuts through the fog and darkness, guiding ships. The mechanism is programmed, the energy comes from solar panels. There is no keeper making decisions, yet the function is fulfilled perfectly. Your awareness is like that lighthouse light. It shines naturally, effortlessly. The sense of being a separate keeper, a me who must try to be aware, who must manage attention, is the last ghost in the machine. The original face is the light itself, shining without a shiner. A marine biologist, studying bioluminescence in those same fjords, visited the old lighthouse. She noted the irony: we travel to see tiny plankton that create light without any apparent purpose, just because it's their nature. And here we build complex machines to imitate that. But our own consciousness. She paused her journal entry. She realized her own awareness was the most primal light of all, shining simply because it is its nature. She didn't need to do awareness. She was awareness. The sense of being a biologist studying light was just a story appearing in that light. This realization didn't diminish her science, it filled it with wonder. Her research became a celebration of the light of consciousness recognizing itself in all forms of luminescence. This points to the essence of non-dual understanding: there is no separate operator of awareness. Awareness is self-luminous, self-knowing. Just as the sun doesn't need a smaller sun to shine on it to exist, awareness doesn't need a separate self to be aware of it. It knows itself by being itself. Modern attempts to locate a consciousness switch or a seat of the soul in the brain often fall into this trap of looking for a keeper. But consciousness appears to be an emergent property of the whole brain system, or perhaps something the brain receives rather than produces. Like the lighthouse lens focusing light, the brain may focus awareness, but the light itself is prior. We exhaust ourselves playing lighthouse keeper, trying to maintain the light, worrying if it's bright enough, comparing it to other lights. Am I mindful enough? Am I present enough? This is the keeper's anxiety. But the light is already on. It has never gone out. It was shining when you were a baby, it shines now in deep sleep, and it will shine in your last moment. You don't need to tend it, you need to stop identifying as the tired keeper and recognize yourself as the untiring light. I learned this from an old fisherman in Maine. He took me out before dawn. As we left the harbor, he pointed to the blinking buoy lights and the steady shore lights. When I was young, he said, I thought I had to be like that buoy, working hard, blinking on and off, making sure everyone knew I was here. Now I just try to be like that shore light, steady, quiet, just doing what I'm here for without any fuss. The funny thing is, the steady light is what people really steer by. He was describing the difference between egoic effort, the blinking buoy, and being, the steady light. His presence on the boat was like that, calm, steady, utterly reliable. He was the light by which the sea and the boat were known. Let's apply this to the relentless self-optimization culture. A tech executive, Maya, was burning out from biohacking, productivity systems, and mindfulness apps, all trying to be a better keeper of her own light. She went on a silent hiking trip in the desert. One night, miles from any artificial light, she saw the Milky Way with stunning clarity. There were countless stars, each shining without effort, without a mission statement. She lay on her back and felt a profound relaxation. I don't have to make myself shine, she thought. I am shine. The rest is just decoration. She returned and simplified her life radically. She wasn't neglecting her responsibilities. She was fulfilling them from the place of being the light, not from the frantic effort of the keeper. Her effectiveness and well-being soared. Your original face is that effortless light. Right now, it is shining as the knowing of these words, the feeling of your body, the sound in the room. You are not producing this knowing. It is happening. Can you feel the difference? The sense of, I am doing awareness, is a thought. Awareness itself is prior to that thought. A meditation instruction from Sri Ramana Maharshi is simply, be as you are. Don't try to be aware. Simply notice that you already are awareness. The trying is the keeper. The being is the light. So tonight, let the keeper rest. There is no maintenance needed. The light of your consciousness is eternal, self-sustaining, and already perfectly illuminating this moment. Be that illumination. Not as an action, but as a surrender into what you have always been. Imagine a piece of cloth woven so perfectly that you cannot find a beginning or an end to any single thread. Each thread is interwoven with all the others, supporting and being supported, creating a single, seamless whole. If you focus on one thread, you might follow it and believe it exists independently, but pull it and you see it is held in place by the entire fabric. Your consciousness is like that seamless cloth. Thoughts, sensations, perceptions, and the sense of I are like individual threads. They appear separate, but they are all manifestations of the one, seamless fabric of awareness. The original face is not any single thread, nor is it the pattern they form, it is the whole cloth itself, the undivided ground from which all experiences arise. In Ghana, there is an Ashanti tradition of weaving Kente cloth, where patterns tell stories and proverbs. A master weaver, Akojua, was teaching her granddaughter. The girl struggled, seeing only a tangle of threads. Akojua had her lie underneath the loom and look up. From below, she said, you see the pattern being born. You see how every thread depends on every other. There is no first thread. The cloth comes into being all at once. She then said something profound, this is how God sees us. Not as separate strands of life, but as the whole, beautiful cloth. And when you know yourself, you see from that place too. You are not the red thread of anger or the gold thread of joy. You are the cloth in which all colors have their place. This is a beautiful metaphor for non-duality. In our ordinary state, we perceive ourselves as separate threads of experience. I am thinking. I am feeling. I am sensing. We follow one thread at a time. But from the perspective of awareness itself, from under the loom. These are all simultaneous, interdependent expressions of one seamless reality, consciousness itself. Neuroscience reveals something analogous in the binding problem, how the brain integrates separate sensory inputs, color, shape, motion, sound, into a unified perception. Consciousness appears to be the seamless cloth that binds them into a coherent whole. You are not the separate inputs, you are the unified field in which they cohere. We suffer because we identify with single threads. We pull on the thread of a past regret and feel the whole fabric of our present moment tighten with suffering. We clutch the golden thread of a desired future and feel anxiety when it slips. But the cloth itself is not threatened by the tugging on any single thread. Its integrity remains. I saw this in a community recovering from a natural disaster. Initially, people were isolated in their individual strands of loss. My house is gone. My business is destroyed. Then, a community elder organized a simple ritual. Everyone brought a piece of fabric, a shirt, a scarf, a curtain, from the rubble. They wove them together into a single, patchwork tapestry. As they wove, they shared stories. The individual threads of grief began to intertwine, creating a stronger, shared fabric of resilience. People began to speak of our recovery instead of my loss. They had, in a tangible way, remembered their fundamental interconnectedness. The seamless cloth of community, which was a reflection of the seamless cloth of consciousness. Let's apply this to the modern experience of fragmentation. A knowledge worker named Ben felt his life was made of disconnected threads: work emails, family obligations, news alerts, personal goals. He felt scattered, unable to find a center. A therapist had him do a simple exercise. For 1 week, he was to pause every hour and, instead of noting what he was doing, following a thread. He was to feel the space of the room and his body within it, and silently say, "One cloth." This wasn't an affirmation, it was a pointer to the unified field of perception. Over the week, his sense of fragmentation softened. He began to experience his day not as a series of tasks, but as a rich tapestry where work, family, and quiet moments were all different textures in the same seamless experience of being alive. Your original face is that one cloth. Right now, experience is multi-threaded: sounds, bodily feelings, thoughts, memories. Can you feel the single, aware space in which all these threads are appearing? They aren't happening to you, they are happening within you, and you are the fabric that holds them. A teaching from the Advaita Vedanta tradition says, consciousness is one, without a second. It appears as many, like a single cloth appearing as many patterns, but it is never divided. So tonight, rest as the seamless cloth. Let the threads of the day's experiences weave themselves into the soft fabric of memory. You are not any thread that was pulled too tight or any color that seemed too bright. You are the whole, complete, and perfect tapestry of awareness, and in this wholeness, there is no separation, no lack, and no problem to be solved. We have traveled through many landscapes of the mind tonight. Through forests of thought, across oceans of emotion, over mountains of identity, and into the silent spaces between words. We have explored metaphors from cultures around the world, each pointing to the same simple, profound truth: what you are seeking, you already are. The original face is not a face at all in the way we normally understand it. It has no features to recognize in a mirror, no age, no story. It is the mirror itself. The clear, reflecting awareness that has been present since your first breath and will be present beyond your last. Tonight's journey ends where it began, here, with you, exactly as you are. There is nowhere to arrive, because you never left. The seeker dissolves into the sought. The listener merges with the listening. Let me share one final, simple story, a modern parable. A woman named Alara lived in a beautiful house by the sea, but she was rarely there. She was always traveling to spiritual retreats, pilgrimages, and workshops, searching for enlightenment, for peace, for her true self. She filled journals with insights, collected artifacts from sacred sites, and followed teachers from every tradition. Yet, a restless emptiness followed her everywhere. One winter, a storm canceled all ferries, leaving her stranded on her own property for a week. With no escape, she finally settled into her home. She watched the storm-tossed sea from her window. She baked bread. She read an old book for pleasure, not for insight. She watched the fire in her hearth. On the seventh night, as the storm cleared and a full moon rose over calm waters, she was sitting by the window, utterly content. No special state, no profound realization, just a deep, quiet peace. In that moment, it dawned on her, she had been traveling the world looking for her home, while her home, this deep, silent presence, had been waiting for her in every moment, in every place, especially right here. She wasn't Alara the seeker. She was the home that Alara had always inhabited. The search was over because she remembered she was the space in which all searching happened. This is your homecoming. Not to a place, but to a presence. Not to an achievement, but to a recognition. The original face is the face of this present awareness, looking out of your eyes right now, before any thought names it, before any story claims it. All the stories we've shared tonight, the tilemaker's mortar, the geologist's tripod, the potter's uncarved block, the seamless cloth, are just fingers pointing at the moon. Don't cling to the fingers. Look at the moon. And then realize, you are the light by which the moon is seen. So now, as we conclude, let everything fall away. The stories, the metaphors, the teachings, even the voice speaking these words. Let them dissolve like sugar in water, leaving only the sweet, silent presence of being. Feel your body resting. Heavy. Supported. Hear the quiet of the night, or the distant sounds that only emphasize the silence that holds them. Notice the gentle rhythm of your breath. It breathes itself. And behind it all, before it all, within it all, the aware presence that you are. Silent. Spacious. Complete. This awareness is your original face. It has no history and no future. It is the eternal now. It is what you were before you had a name, and what you will be when all names are forgotten. It is not yours personally, it is the impersonal reality that lights up the personal. And it is, unmistakably, what you are. There is nothing to do with this knowing. No practice to begin, no state to maintain. Simply let yourself be as you are, aware, present, at home. From this place, life will continue. Thoughts will come and go. Joys and sorrows will rise and fall. But now you know, you are not the coming and going. You are the space for all of it. The peace you sought was never in the content of your life, it is the context, the very substance of your being. Thank you for sharing this journey into the heart of who you are here at Monk's Temple. May this simple knowing, that you are already home, already whole, already free. Gently infuse your days and your dreams. Rest now in this homecoming. Not as someone who has found something, but as the finding itself. Not as a person at peace, but as peace itself, dreaming for a little while that it is a person. Sleep well. You are home.